This beside us is a Kever Achim, a collective grave. A grave for those who fought in the battle on Latrun. Latrun was a fort on the way to Yerushalayim that overlooked the road to Yerushalayim. Anyone who would sit in this fort would control the way to Yerushalayim. Knowing how important the way to Yerushalayim, because of Yerushalayim, we wanted to get this fort. Many, many battles were fought at this place. This is a collective grave for all those who fought there and obviously were killed. We have a very important tombstone here for someone named Netanel Shoyer. Netanel Shoyer was just made Aliyah on Tafshin Zayin, a year before the battle of Milchemet HaShichur. We know that those who just came off the boat to fight in Latrun, those who just came off the boat and fight for Eretz Yisrael, there are those who say the commanders in Latrun, the battle over Latrun, say that they had to give out commanders in many different languages because the soldiers had no idea, did not know Hebrew, and didn't even know how to fight. So what we see here, very interestingly, is a letter from soldiers, officers in Israel, that came here and say and promise the following. They promise that they will not forget Netanel Shoyer. Why is this important? This is important because Netanel Shoyer is one of those who are called the Netzer HaAcharon. The Netzer HaAcharon are those soldiers who came on their own from Europe and have no one else left in the world to come here to their graves on Yom HaZikaron.
לנצח זכור נא את שמותינו בבלווה בדרך אל העיר.
We come here to a very special tombstone, the tombstone of Nissim Gini. Nissim Gini was the youngest soldier killed in the history of Medinat Israel. Nissim Gini was 10 years of age when he was killed. Nissim Gini was not just like any other soldier, obviously running with a gun to kill his enemies, but Nissim Gini was a messenger. At the time, they had no cell phones. They needed someone to run from place to place in order to give the messages, to tell them, here, the enemy is coming. That was Nissim Gini's job. Nissim Gini was in his job, doing his job many, many days and nights. At a certain point, it came time, and it was time for him to go home. So he went home just for a break to have some hot food that his mother made. As he walked into his house, he was told, it's time to come back. The soldier that was supposed to switch you never showed up. You have to go back to your place. So sure he did, and he went back to his place. As Nissim got back to his lookout, an enemy, a soldier shot, but he didn't hit him. He hit the gun that was just out there. The ricochet of the gun hit Nissim in his head. The doctors tried helping Nissim, but Nissim was killed. The youngest soldier, 10 years of age, since Medinat Israel. This here is the final resting place of the Lamed Hey, those 35 soldiers who were killed trying to get to Gush Etzion, trying to bring food, ammunition, and medication to Gush Etzion so they can survive. Those who are in Gush Etzion can survive. We know the famous story, they started out 38 people, three of the soldiers had to come back on the way. One got hurt, we had to help him, they went back. Those 35 continued going to Gush Etzion. This story, the Lamed Hey, Gush Etzion, ended in Daled in Iyar, the 4th of Iyar. The 4th of Iyar was the day that Gush Etzion was conquered by the Arabs. There were no more Jews over there, they were all killed, surrendered, and the battle ended. Later on, David Ben-Gurion decided that this Daled B'Iyar would be the day where we remember all the soldiers. Yom HaZikaron for Chalalei Ma'arachot Israel will be Daled B'Iyar, and that's today Yom HaZikaron. We find here a very interesting grave the grave of the first American who became an Israeli soldier and later was killed in the Lamed Hey. Reb Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, a very famous rabbi affiliated with the Haredi community, used to have a cab driver take him from his house to the yeshiva, from the yeshiva to the house. The cab drivers used to fight over who will take him. It was a great experience to take Reb Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, to talk to him, to learn from him, just to hear and spend some quality time with Reb Shlomo Zalman Auerbach. Every day, from his home to the yeshiva, from the yeshiva to his home. One day, Reb Shlomo Zalman Auerbach turns over to his cab driver and says, I want today, before we go home, I want to stop by Har Herzl. So they do so. They go to Har Herzl and later on they go back home. This story repeats itself a few weeks later. Reb Shlomo Zalman Auerbach turns to his cab driver and says, today, if we can, please, I would like to stop in Har Herzl before we go back home. And this story repeats itself again and again every few weeks. The cab driver turns over to Reb Shlomo Zalman Auerbach and says, Rabbi, why do you do so? You're not affiliated with the Zionist movement, you're affiliated with the Haredi movement. Why is it so important for you to go to Har Herzl? Reb Shlomo Zalman Auerbach replies and says, there's no other place in the world where there's so many Kedoshim, Tehurim, who gave their lives for Am Yisrael and for Eretz Yisrael.